May this flame, symbol of transformation since time began, fire our curiosity, strengthen our wills, and sustain our courage as we seek what is good within and around us.
Good morning. You'll notice that we have a rose here in celebration of the birth of Ellen Bird Rogers, who was born Monday, April 2nd. Mother Ashley Cole and baby work very hard, but are recovering well, and both mothers, Ashley and Rachel Rogers, are in love. Everybody just went home at the end of the week. We send them our congratulations and welcome Ellis into the world. Also, I want to announce that the worship committee and lay ministers have decided to do a few experiments with joys and concerns this month. This week, we're going to do something we've never done before. We're going to ask people to fill out their yellow slips or write out their joys and concerns if they want them read before we get to joys and concerns. So we have our chaplain, Kathy Chang, in the back to help you do it. Do it any time during the service up to that time. We will be reading them, though, during the service. Thank you. Now I'd like to invite you into the spirit of worship with this poem by Langston Hughes. It's an earth song, and I've been waiting long for an earth song. It's a spring song, and I've been waiting long for a spring song. Strong as the bursting of young buds, strong as the shoots of a new plant, strong as the coming of the first child from its mother's womb. An earth song, a body song, a spring song, and I've been waiting long for an earth song.
So there was this little kid in a Cherokee community that was a very vivid dreamer. They had dreams almost every night in full color, live action dreams. And most of them were really great. They were fun. The kid was able to fly and soar and visit new communities. But he started having a new kind of dream. And in these new dreams, there were some wolves. Actually, the wolves, there were two different wolves. The first wolf that he dreamt of was kind of scary, a little mean, and was always, the wolf was always like finding some dead animal and then taking it away from the other animals that were feasting on it. He was just very nasty. And the kid noticed that when he had that dream with that wolf, he was a little sour. He woke up on the wrong side of the bed. He was a little sassy. He didn't really want to follow anybody's instructions. He didn't want to get ready for school. He just wanted to like pout. And then on alternating nights, he'd have another dream with another wolf that was much kinder, much sweeter, liked to cuddle, liked to share, liked to visit his other wolf friends. And on those mornings, he woke up and felt similar to that wolf. He wanted to cooperate with his parents. He was excited to learn. He was excited to share with his friends at school. And these dreams kind of alternated for a while. And it was a little frustrating, both to the kid and the kid's community, because they really didn't know which kid they were going to get that day. Which wolf showed up in the dream, and they were like, kid, pick one, please. There's a lot of turmoil building inside the kid. And so the kid Googled, like, oh, what do these mean? And that wasn't really fruitful. So he decided to go to his family members. And he only knew of one other family member that had these sort of dreams. And they talked about dreams whenever they would hang out. And that was his grandpa. So after about a month or so of these alternating wolf dreams, the kid goes to his grandpa and says, Grandpa, these have really got to stop. I am all over the place, and I just need to be still for a moment and need one of the wolves to go away. Which wolf is me? Which wolf is going to win? And the grandpa says, the wolf that you feed. The little kid pondered that for a while and went to sleep the next night. And went to sleep the night after that, and went to sleep the night after that, and decided to nurture one of the wolves. And things became still and calm. So ends our story for the day. We're going to sing our kids out with the song, the back cover of the Gray Hymnal.
Good morning. My name is Sally Ross, and I'm a member of this congregation. And it's my pleasure to welcome you in the sanctuary and those joining us online for worship this morning. In order to reach a wider community than those able to be physically present on Sunday morning, portions of this service are live streamed and available on YouTube and on our website at thefun.org. Before I continue, let me remind you to please shut off your cell phones. As Unitarian Universalists, our spiritual paths vary, but in this congregation we have made a covenant together. We affirm our interdependence, celebrate our differences, and work for justice. We deepen our relationships as we create a compassionate, welcoming community, nurture spiritual growth, and act on our values in the broader world. I want to extend a special welcome to visitors worshiping with us this morning. We ask you to wear the paper name tags as it helps us to get to know you better. If you are seeking a spiritual home, we hope you will find it here. Whether you are new to Unitarian Universalism or visiting from another UU congregation, we invite you to stop by the welcome table after the service to have any questions answered. People become members of this congregation by signing the membership book and by supporting the church with their time and finances. If you are considering joining the church, please speak to our assistant minister, Holly Miller, Following the service, we hope everyone will enjoy coffee and fellowship in the social area, where you will find information about current opportunities for engagement and reflection. There are a number of announcements in the weekly bulletin, which you hope you will take home and read. I have an additional one. There is a new member class. If you are interested in becoming a member or would like to learn more about our church and Unitarian Universalism, come to the new member class this coming Sunday, April 14th. Saturday, thank you, April 14th from 9 to 1. There will be a brunch, childcare, learning, and community. And again, please RSVP to Assistant Minister Holly Miller. Now, Andy Collins and Joelle Smith-Bourne will talk to you about LM.
Good morning. I'm Andy Collins, and this is Joelle Smith-Bourne. We are the co-chairs of the Lead Ministers Advisory Committee. It's otherwise known as LMAC. And I don't know if there is, but if there's anyone else from the committee here today, could you stand so people could recognize you? Oh, there you go. Yeah. Mike gets a round of applause. That's good. All right. One of the charges of the LMAC is to undertake evaluations of our clergy. To this end, we invite you to participate in a performance evaluation of the Reverend Gail Seavey. For this evaluation, we're going beyond the standard 5-point scale many of us have endured during our own professional lives. And instead, we have tried to arrange an evaluation that reflects the respect, the mutuality, love, and support embodied in the relationship between this congregation and Reverend Seavey. Reverend Seavey welcomes your insights and sees this as an important opportunity for her ongoing professional, personal, and spiritual growth and development. She looks forward to receiving insights into the impact of her work throughout all areas of her ministry. We will be conducting public meetings after the second service today. We will also be meeting after the second service next week and between services on April 22nd. All meetings will be in the fireside room, and food will be provided for the 2 afternoon meetings. In addition to the public meetings, there is more information and an evaluation form on the church website. We invite you all to complete that. You will find a link to the form and the other information on the announcements in the announcements area of the homepage. So thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Bob Day. I'm the Resource and Development Council Chair on the Board of Directors, and the Stewardship Committee is one of the committees on my council. So I'm here to report on the Stewardship Campaign, which officially concluded on March 25th, but unofficially continues till we're done. You may recall that we've been working on developing a year-round culture of stewardship. That's why we've had a stewardship moment from the pulpit once a month. We've had lots of articles in the newsletters and the weekly bulletins. The point of stewardship is to highlight our commitment of time and finances to the support and growth of our congregation. Every year at this time, we have an annual campaign to gather commitments for the coming fiscal year, which is 2018 and 19. Can you believe that? 2018 and 19. And I want to remind you of the goals that we set, the board set. Number 1, economic justice for the staff, giving them raises that are commensurate with their service and performance. Increasing our program budget and our maintenance budget. Building a new sign, exterior sign, to replace the one that's up there on the corner. Hiring a children's choir director. Implementing a new membership management and accounting systems. And contract for professional technical support. The total goal was $600,000. As of yesterday, we had reached $580,045. This is good. Last year, I was giving this little talk in May, and we weren't there. So we're way ahead of schedule. A few statistics. And this ties in with cultivating the good, Miss Gail and Miss Valerie. We're cultivating the good. You may recall that Gail gave a sermon from a ladder and talked about how sometimes people, this is in your order of service, go up the ladder, sometimes people go down the ladder, some people step off the ladder, step on the ladder. So here's our statistics for this year. And the names of everybody who has made an official commitment is in the blue insert. So 13 people or pledge families have stepped on the ladder for the first time. 13. Almost $9,000 in pledges from those 13. Here's a good one. 130 have stepped up the ladder. Whoa! With a total increase of almost $69,000. Yeah, 22%. 46 people have stayed on the same rung of the ladder. And that total is about $133,000. 44 have had to step down a rung. Still on the ladder? Just down a rung or two. But only a $17,000 decrease. That's good. And then 18 have totally stepped off the ladder, moved away, financial problems, whatever. Okay? Now, here's the other good news. There's still 30 of you out there from whom we have not heard a single word. And last year, you committed $26,174. Now, guess what? If all of you who were not in yet were just to stay on the same rung, you don't have to go up, just stay on the same rung, we would be over our goal. This would be really wonderful. So, Candy Toller, the stewardship chair, tells me that there is still chocolate available. And there's plenty of forums out there in the social area. And of course, there's the online option. And I happen to bring my laptop with me today. So let's go out there and cultivate some more good. Share your love. And get ready for the really great stuff coming in May and June. That's right, a new online giving system. It's already on the website. You could actually go to the website through your phone right now and use it on your phone. You can use it on your laptop. You can use it. Now, in May and June, we're going to be introducing, that's right, the Give Plus app on your phone. Yeah. Not to mention giving by text. Whoa. Hip and edgy. Yeah, okay. We'll be bringing that out in a more organized manner in May and June. Thank you for your commitment. We appreciate your support. Step it up, people.
Well, I'm fired up. In this room are a multitude of joys and sorrows. So join me in a moment of silence as we welcome into the room more fully the moments of glee and sadness, the sacred and the secular, the mundane and the spectacular.
week's large raid in East Tennessee who are now facing uncertainty and hardship.
Please join me in a moment of prayer. Spirit of life and love and change and transition, we come gathered today with gratitude for the ability to share our lives together. May we listen deeply to the trauma of transition and change and oppression. And may we celebrate with one another the joys and the celebrations and the new beginnings of our lives. And may we do all of that remembering that we are never alone. May it be so. We give to this church because we believe in the work of this church to live in community, to build covenant and live in covenant, and to do justice inside and outside of these walls. One of the ways that shows up is through our Share the Plate, which is with NOAH, Nashville Organized for Action and Hope. The gifts of the community will now gratefully and humbly be received.
I'm Valerie Martin, Worship Associate this morning, and our reading comes from Hardwiring Happiness by Rick Hansen. Imagine that your mind is like a garden. You could simply be with it, looking at its weeds and flowers without judging or changing anything. Second, you could pull weeds by decreasing what's negative in your mind. Third, you could grow flowers by increasing the positive in your mind. In essence, you can manage your mind in three primary ways: let be, let go, let in. Letting your mind be, or simply observing your experience, gives you relief and perspective, like stepping out of a movie screen and watching from 20 rows back. Letting the stream of consciousness run on its own helps you stop chasing what's pleasant and struggling with what's unpleasant. You can explore your experience with interest and hopefully kindness toward yourself, and perhaps connect with softer, more vulnerable, and possibly younger layers of your mind. In the light of an accepting, non-reactive awareness, your negative thoughts and feelings can sometimes melt away like morning mists on a sunny day. But just being with your mind isn't enough. You also need to work with it, making wise efforts, pulling weeds and growing flowers. Merely witnessing stress, worries, irritability, or a blue mood will not necessarily uproot any of these. The brain evolved to learn all too well from negative experiences, and it stores them in long-lasting neural structures. Nor does being with your mind by itself grow gratitude, enthusiasm, honesty, creativity, or many other inner strengths. These mental qualities are based on underlying neural structures that don't spring into being on their own. To be with your mind fully, you've got to work with it to grow inner strengths, such as calm and insight, that enable you to feel all your feelings and face your inner shadows even when it's hard. Otherwise, opening to your experience can feel like opening a trapdoor to hell. When something difficult or uncomfortable happens, when a storm comes into your garden, the 3 ways to engage your mind give you a useful step-by-step sequence. First, be with your experience. Observe it, accept it for what it is, even if it's painful. Second, when it feels right, which could be a matter of seconds with a familiar worry, or a matter of months or years with the loss of a loved one, begin letting go of whatever is negative. For example, relax your body to reduce tension. Third, again, when it feels right, after you've released some or all of what was negative, add something positive. For instance, you could remember what it's like to be with someone who appreciates you and stay with this experience for 10 or 20 seconds. Besides feeling good in the moment, this step has lasting benefits. For when you take in the positive experiences, you're not only growing flowers in your mind, you're growing new neural circuits for your brain. You are hardwiring happiness.
I'd like to invite you to sing number 1.
So for our meditation this morning, I'll take us through Rick Hanson's process that he calls taking in the good. Neuropsychologically, that means the deliberate internalization of positive experiences in our implicit memory. So he uses the acronym HEAL to describe these 4 steps. Have a positive experience, enrich it, absorb it, and then the optional last step, which is a little more nuanced, but you can try it out if you want, link positive and negative material. So I'll invite you to feel your feet on the ground. Feel the chair or pew supporting you. And if it feels good, maybe allow your eyes to fall closed. Noticing the quality of your breath. And then starting to notice any kind of positive experience that's present with you in the foreground or background of your awareness. Maybe it's a positive physical sensation, thinking of someone that you're close to, thinking about something you're grateful for or proud of. So just calling that experience to the surface of your mind and stay with it for a few seconds longer, really opening your feelings to it, letting it sink into your body. Maybe recognize how it's personally relevant, how it can nourish you or make a difference in your life, even if it's a small experience. And really let that experience sink into your body, like your heart is a sponge that could soak it in, or that experience is a little jewel that you could place right in the treasure chest of your heart. Let it sink in a vivid way. This is a resource that you can take with you anytime you need it. And for that optional last part, maybe call to mind some type of negative experience that might even relate to this. So if you're feeling connected, maybe you remember a time that you felt lonely or disconnected. Imagine holding those experiences side by side. If the negative material hijacks your attention, just drop it and focus on the positive. Just taking a moment to hold both of those experiences. And whenever you like, just let that negative material fall away, resting in the positive. So this is how we pull those weeds and plant the flowers in our mind. Taking one more deep breath. Blinking your eyes open and bringing yourself back into this space.
I want to tell you today about a story that I read in an autobiography about a little boy named William who lived he was a little boy in the late 1700s. He was a Puritan, and he had learned at church that some people were born to go to hell and some people were born to go to heaven, and there was really nothing you could do about it. But they did teach you that you could watch everything you did for signs that you were good, that you were going to go to heaven. And he took this very seriously. He was one of these quiet, introspective boys, and he was always going, am I being good? Am I being bad? He was kind of anxious about it, and he was a very honest little boy, so he noticed, oh yeah, I had that angry thought at my mom. Even if he didn't yell at it, he was like, oh, I was angry, or oh, I really wanted to play with that toy my cousin had. Even if he didn't grab it, he still was very hard on himself. And he got so anxious, noticing that he wasn't very good all the time, that he started getting terrible headaches. And the only thing he found that relieved these headaches were long walks outside. And so he would walk and walk. And one day, he was walking outside, and it was a beautiful spring day like this, maybe a little brisk like this, so he was walking fast. And then the sun came out, and he was looking at the gardens all around him, and he felt that warm sun come into his heart. It felt like it was relaxing all of that tension that he was holding that was giving him a headache. And he had this thought. And the thought was something he'd heard in church as well. It was, and God created human beings on the seventh day in God's image. And it was very, very good. He went, oh, maybe I'm good. Maybe all of us are not going to hell. Maybe I'm divine. So he looked around him, and he had this image, because of the beautiful gardens, that he had this seed. This is how he saw it. He didn't say, I don't think he said, I think I'm divine. I think what he was thinking is, I have a seed of God that I was born within me, and I can cultivate it, was the word he used. I could help it grow. And all of a sudden, he had all this power. He didn't feel hopeless and powerless anymore. And he grew up to be the first Puritan minister, William Ellery Channing. There's a big statue of him in Boston Common, and Boston Garden, actually, right, in the gardens, to say, I'm a Unitarian. You can nurture. He called it, you can nurture the good. He called it self-culture. And he had lots of ways to nurture that good. They sound so simple ways, but it was really based around education, all the ways that we learn from the world and from books. But he also had a very simple prayer that he taught people. I mean, it was just so simple. We'll call it a psychological prayer today. And he taught people that in the morning to look at your day, look ahead. Who are you going to be seeing? What are the tasks of your day? And how do you want to show up? Do you and really envision it. Do I want to be kind to that person? Do I want to help in this situation? Do I want to be peaceful? Because I could be stressful. He was very into being calm. That was one of his favorite things to try to be. And then at the end of the day, pray again. And the prayer was really simple reflection, going back over your day and seeing if you showed up the way you had wanted to. Did you nurture that calm? Did you nurture that helpfulness that you wanted to do during the day? And if not, well, how can you do that tomorrow? How can you nurture that tomorrow? So simple. Now, as we were listening to the story this morning, the Cherokee story, a totally different culture, right? About we're going to feed the bad wolf or the good wolf. I thought, the force of the bad wolf was strong in that boy, right? But it turns out, from the reading we heard today, Rick Hansen, the psychologist who has done a lot of neural research on how our brains work, and what he's saying is the force of the bad wolf, or that anxiety, looking for the bad, is strong in all of us. It's an evolutionary advantage at some point. It was anyway. I mean, if you're in the world of everybody's predator or prey, and you don't notice every bad thing, you might not even live to notice the good things that are happening. You can always put the good things off. So our minds are hardwired not just to notice, but then to remember the bad things. So what Rick Hansen is saying is we have to cultivate the flowers of the good things or feed the good wolf. In other words, feed the positive things. Now, we live in an age where we live a lot longer, and it actually isn't necessarily to our survival advantage to always be feeding the bad wolf or letting the weeds grow. Yes, we learn from negative experiences, and we have them. There's no way we can stop having them, right? And we learn from them, but it always causes wear and tear on the body. It just does. It's stress, causes stress. So now that we're living longer, that stress adds up, okay? So there's actually more advantage now to learning to nurture those flowers. So how do we do that? Well, I think different religions, storytellers in different cultures, people, different songs that we hear, have taught us how to do that. Simple things like simple prayers, simple rituals, simple meditation. Hansen is a mindfulness meditator as well as a research scientist. So these have all been what I would call popular science. People have observed that we have to find ways to go out of our way to nurture the good wolf, and they have developed all these different ways, and they've observed what works and what doesn't. So, for instance, they have observed that it doesn't work to ignore the bad things, the stressful things, because quite honestly, if we ignore them, they just kind of leak out, right? Like a pressure cooker going, psh, the top blows off, and you're being reactive, is what that's called, being reactive, and that actually then builds more negative memories, implicit negative memories in your brain, and it really is the opposite of what you want it to do. But now science is showing, just like science often does for us, why something that was popular science works. So he's very clear, Hansen's very clear, that if you practice being aware of positive things and sitting with it, he talks for a second, he says like 20 seconds to a minute, just such a short time, you start to build these implicit positive memories that become resources for you. They are there, and they're resources for you to draw on in your mind. Now, we all know that we like to build resources outside of our mind, like this church, this sanctuary, it's a resource. I come in here, and it's beauty, and it's soaring and looking out at the outside and the gardens. It's a resource. It calms me down. It helps me focus and think about these positive thoughts. But what so many traditions point out, and that science now says is true, is that we actually have hundreds of positive, I'm going to say hundreds, hundreds, without exaggeration, of positive experiences most days. They're just little experiences. A moment of waking up after a good night's sleep, or a little hug, or a look from somebody that feels connecting, or, oh, the smell of my tea. That Earl Grey tea smells so good. And the fruit that I put on my cereal. I just like cutting it up. It's calming to cut up my fruit every morning. Many, many little experiences that you have, but we haven't paid attention to them. So that's why he talks about, first you have them, but then you need to enrich them. So I'm going to use, I don't know what, I'm sure you all had different experiences, but I'm going to use a very simple one, because this law of little things, I think, is so important in this. Let's say I walk into this sanctuary, which I'm seeking sanctuary, right? But hey, I work here, so I come in and, oh, let's do this, you got to do that, oh, that isn't working, this, so-and-so isn't showing up. You know, sometimes I feel frazzled, right? And I need to calm down if I'm going to be able to worship. So I've learned that when I exhale, and it turns out this is true for everybody, and we exhale thousands of times a day, it actually calms your body down. So that's what the experience I have, exhaling. I bet you all have exhaled recently, right? And then you want to, and then I want to enrich it. Well, I've learned in yoga, one way to enrich it is I breathe in, and I count how long it takes me to breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, I just make sure I breathe out longer. That enriches it. So I start doing that for a few times. Breathe in, out longer. Small thing. Then I want to absorb it. I love the imagery that Valerie read from the book, and some of us use imagery, but you don't have to. It could be just simply paying attention to your body. Oh, pay attention. Oh, my heart's slowing down. My mind is clearing a little. Oh, I can feel the connection to people here instead of that. Get away, everybody, leave me alone. It's the consciousness of that for a minute that hardwires an implicit positive memory so that it's a resource. And the next time I get frazzled, like I come home and my home is a sanctuary, and things are all chaotic there, like Jim has 53 things that broke down and he's trying to figure out how to fix. And I'm like, I automatically react by taking a deep breath and being aware of my exhale. So I can be there as a kind, loving person. Okay. So, yeah, I don't want to talk to you. Okay. Right? Okay. So then Valerie said, okay, so then what you need to do is talk more about this link thing, because the link, the L, the last part is, what really helps is then linking your implicit memories, the positive ones, directly to the negative ones, so that when you have a negative thing happen that's like that, you will automatically start thinking about the positive. It really then becomes hardwired as a resource for you to draw on. And that's great. That's what we're all trying to do, right? So there's different ways to think about this, obviously. The way he talks about, the writer talks about it, the psychologist, he talks about holding the negative thing in the back of your mind. So let's say I'm holding the frazzled feeling
and the experiences that give me that frazzled feeling, and the feelings of it in the back of my mind. Now, think of that as the weed. Think of it as you're going out in your garden and you've planted flowers, and you know that you want that calm flower, right? That very simple, calm flower. It's a tree, but the wild dogwood's coming out. They feel simple, calm flowers to me. And then you got the weed, which is that frazzled flower. Now, you can't just rip out a weed. Well, sometimes you can, that's great. But most of the time, you really have to pay attention to it. Sometimes you have to dig down deep and see how far the root goes, and you have to see it. So you have to do the same thing that you did with a positive feeling. You have to have the experience of the weed or the frazzled feeling. Oh yeah, my heart was beating fast. My brain went blank. I was just being reactive. I wanted to drive everybody away. And at the same time, and enrich it. Really feel it. Say, yeah, I can feel how that makes my heart go fast. Just like you're the weed. You say, oh, I see. I got to dig deeper to get this out, and stay with it, absorb it, be aware. Yank it out. But what they find is in the brain is it really doesn't stay yanked out unless you planted something else. And that's true in the garden, too. Unless you're planting other things, the weeds come back. Now, you might like some of those weeds, but you might not. Okay? So you have to keep the image at the same time of the flower in front, is how he says it. I have a more kinesthetic way to do it. I really see it as you're holding both experiences. I mean, I can feel it. I'm holding both experiences, but you actually have to hold one more lightly than the other for me. So, we've got the images, we've got however it works for you. But that's why there's so many popular science ways to do it. The people who are more kinesthetic, they have to do ritual. They go to the full moon ritual, and they're able to have these positive experiences and be with them over the hour or so and absorb them. Whereas someone else, half of you here, I know some of you meditate in a closet. Shut the door, and you have your 5, 10, 15, 20, if you're lucky, minutes of meditation, and that's how you do it. We do it different ways. Some of you go and look at art or walk in the garden. What is important is that you do it every day in little ways. Little ways. I start thinking about Muslims who pray 5 times a day. And Hansen is saying, do this kind of sense of setting in positive memories 6 times a day. I went, oh my God. So there's traditions that work that in, to have that positive imagery in their life throughout the day. Now, what I have found when you think about this is that, yes, we have resources outside of us, but they don't go with us everywhere we go. My home doesn't go with me. My sanctuary here doesn't go with me wherever I go. But every one of us can bring the resources of our mind with us, have what people would call the sanctuary within, the refuge within. And that is what this practice allows us to create, to build. It might be that inner garden, that inner oasis. So that is my prayer for all of us, that we find ways to create that inner garden, that refuge within, and cultivate that. So it grows many beautiful, full flowers. Now, gardening, it's got a little work, it's got some hard work. It's ongoing. It changes with the seasons, and you replant year after year. Some things come back. So again, this isn't something that just happens. It's a practice. And I know your practices vary. but I know we all can cultivate the good as we see it in our lives. May it be so.
To me.
Please join me in the chalice extinguishing, which you'll find at the bottom of your order of service. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
I'd like to close with these words from the biblical book of Philippians, chapter 4. Whatsoever things are true, whatsoever things are honorable, whatsoever things are just, whatsoever things are clear, whatsoever things are lovely, whatsoever things are of good report, if there be any virtue, and if there be any praise, think on these things. This service is over. Let our service begin again, renewed.